So inshallah we'll go ahead and start. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So inshallah we will do ayat number 106 and 107 of Surah Al-Baqarah. First we will do a simple translation, and the background before we do a simple translation is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning, early part of the Islam, of the Quran and life of Prophet ﷺ, certain commands were given. Later on, some other commands were issued based on the situation and circumstances. So the previous command was abrogated and the new command became in implementation. So these ayats talk about that. So the translation is Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ma nansakh, we do not abrogate. And here we is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking that we do not abrogate min ayatin, any verse, aw nunsiha, or make it forget. Na'ati bi khairin, but we bring something which is better than that. Minha means better than what has been abrogated. Aw misliha, or like that, or similar to that one. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alam ta'alam, don't you know, anna Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ala kulli shay'in qadir, He has power, complete power and authority on everything. So He has the right and the power and the authority to do or make, send out a command and then send out another command after that. So Allah has the full power and authority for doing that. Then the next ayat says, Alam ta'alam, don't you know, anna Allah, that Allah, lahu mulkus samawati, belong to Him, or are His, mulkus samawati, whatever is the kingdom of the heavens, wal ardi, and the earth, wa malakum, and there is none for you, min dunillahi, other than Allah or besides Allah, min waliyyin, any helper, wala nasir, any protector, wala nasir, or any helper. So these are the simple meanings of the words of these two ayats. So inshallah now we'll go ahead and look into the details of this. Here the first word ma is coming as a negative, to make a statement negative. Ma has two meanings, but here ma means not. Okay. Then the next word is noon, sin, and kha. Okay. Nasakha. Nasakha means to abrogate. Which means to replace one thing by the other thing. Nasakha. Now, if we have these three letters, fa'ala, this means to do, and if we put a noon in the beginning and sound as naf'alu, it means we do. So putting a noon in the beginning of the three letters and pronouncing this way brings the meaning of first person plural, which is we, and the present tense do. So if we apply this rule of the grammar, these three letters, we put a noon in the beginning and then put the same Arab, noon, sin, and kha. Okay. So put the sukoon on the first letter here, just like on the fa, and then fataha and a dhamma kha. So this will be pronounced as nansakhu. Okay, nansakhu. Nansakhu means we abrogate. Present tense and first person plural. And here we is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Now the word ma before that. Ma, when it is used with the present tense or mudare this way, and it brings the meaning of not, it also has an impact on the word that's coming after that. Okay? The impact is that this word last letter has a dhamma. And when in a mudare or a present tense, when last letter has a dhamma, the word is called in the state of rafa. This ma changes this dhamma to a fatah. To a sukoon actually, not a fatah. Okay. So this word comes in the state of jazam. Jazam means sukoon. So the word becomes ma nansakh, and it brings the meaning of not. So we do not. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, we do not abrogate. Okay. So we do not abrogate. Now after that is the word min ayatin. Okay. Now the word ayatin is simply the verse of the Quran. Ayatin, actually the word is ayatun. Ayatun is the actual word, and ayatun has many meanings. One of the meaning is the verse of the Quran, and also it means sign. But here the verse is being used in this context. Also, min has multiple meanings. Okay, and min is a harf-jar, and harf-jar when it comes before a noun takes these two dhammas at the end and convert them into two kasras. Okay, so the pronunciation becomes ayatin. Okay. Now min has many meanings, but in this situation, in this context, the meaning of min, best meaning for the min is any. Okay. So min ayatin means any verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we do not abrogate any verse, in the verse of the Quran here. Okay. The next word is aw. Aw means or. Now the next word is nunsiha. So let's look at that word. That word is made of two parts actually. Nun si and ha. Okay. Now this ha means it. Okay, it's a feminine gender. And it is pointing to the ayatin, because ayatin is a feminine word here. So this ha is pointing to the word ayatin. Okay, and in English, simple meaning is it, and it is pointing to the ayatin. Okay, now the word nun si. Let's look at this word. The root letters are nun, Seen and Ya. Okay. The meaning of these three letters is to forget. and these are 3 letters, so they belong to the group of the words we call Bab Fa'ala, 3 letters. Okay. And we make another Ba by adding an alif in the beginning, and it becomes Bab Af'ala. That means we put an alif in the beginning of that, and this will become An Sa Ya. Okay. Ansaya. Okay. And the meaning of this word with the 4 letters, Bab, is to make someone forget or to cause forget. Cause forget. Means here you are forgetting something yourself, and here someone is making you forget or causing you forget something. So that is the characteristic of this Ba, and that's the meaning of these words Ansa. Okay. Now, when we make we just saw that if we put a noon before that, it will become Naf'alu. Naf'alu, and this brings the meaning of we and present tense. Okay. Now, if we have this 4 letters word and we want to bring the meaning of we and present tense here, same way, we and present. Okay. The word for that is Nuf'ilu. Okay. So that is the difference. If you have a 3 letters word, then it is Naf'alu, and if it is Bab Af'ala, 4 letters, then it will be Nuf'ilu. So here, Nuf'ilu will be noon with the Dhamma, then noon here with the sukoon, then 3rd letter has a kasra, so Seen will have a kasra, okay. And 4th letter is Ya, that will have a Dhamma. Now what happens? This last letter Ya has a Dhamma, is a weak letter. So this letter altogether drops out. Okay. So what is left here? Nun Si. Nun Si means we, and present tense, cause to forget, or we make to forget. So the meaning will be we cause to forget. So here we is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying Nun Si, which is the same word here. We cause to forget it, means the ayat. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying about 2 things. Either we can abrogate, which means we can either cancel or bring a different one in place of the previous ayat, or we can make it forget. Okay, so that is what this thing is. Nun Siha, make it forget, or cause it, or make it forget. We make it forget, or cause it forget. And it is pointing to the ayat again. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says whenever that happens, we send down the Quran, and whenever we want to replace one ayat by the other ayat, then we abrogate it, and or we make it forget. But what we do that? Na'ati bi khairin. Na'ati bi khairin means we bring something better than that. So let's look at that word. Okay. So the root letters are Al Hamza, Ta and Ya. Okay. Or it's a Alif with the Hamza. Alif is just chair. Okay. This means to come. Okay? But if the same three letters come that after that there is a letter ba, then the meaning is to bring. Okay? Now, we also know that if we want to make the present tense of the three letters, fa'ala, we just saw that it is naf'alu. Naf'alu. So if we apply this rule to these three letters, so we put a noon in the beginning with a fatah. The second letter is fa, but here the second letter is alif, so it is like that. Then third letter is ain, but here it is a ta, so there is a sukoon on that. And the fourth letter is ya with a dhamma. Okay? So now, when we read these, in this combination, we have these two will pronounce as na, and this letter ta, last letter is a weak letter again, it will drop, but the sound of the ya will become the sound of ta. So this will become na'ati. Na'ati, and if there is a ba after that, which is actually the ba of the bikhairin, okay? So that ba, B, will become the meaning of we bring. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we bring. Okay? And now the word be is already been used in the previous part, so only khairin is left. Okay? So let's look at the word khairin. What does it mean? The root letters are kha, ya and ra. And khairun is the noun. Khairun means good or better. It's a superlative degree. Better. Okay? And also, before that word khairun, there was a B, and B is a harf jar. So that harf jar, what it does, it takes these two dhammas and convert them into two kasras. So the word will be pronounced as khairin because of the B, even though the B in terms of the meaning is helping this word to provide the meaning of bring. If the B was not there, then the meaning will be come. Okay? So B is doing two things. It is backward in the previous word, it's changing the meaning. And in the next word, which is the khairun, is changing the sound to khairin. So the meaning will be we bring, we here is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bring better. Okay? Then the next word is minha. Okay? Again, it's made of two parts. Minha. Okay? And ha is it again, and it's pointing to the ayat. Ayatin. So this is it. Okay? And as I said, min has many meanings. Then here the meaning will be then. And why then? Because in English we have better and then it. Okay, so this the meaning then will be the most appropriate meaning in here. So better than it. Okay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when we abrogate any ayat of the Quran, any verse of the Quran, or we make it forget, or we cause it forget, so our purpose is that na'ati, we bring better than it, or better than that verse, another words. Okay, and then after that, aw mithliha, or, okay, then look. Let's look at the word mithliha. Okay, so the root letters are mim, tha, and lam. Okay, and the word from there is mislin. Mislin means similar. Similar. Okay, and why two dhamma, two kasras here? Because this B is also being applied to this one. Okay, so originally the word was mislun, similar, and because that B has the effect on this one also, so it will become mislin. Okay, similar, and ha means it, so similar to it, similar to the ayatun that was abrogated, so, or similar to that, or to it. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when one ayat of the Quran is abrogated or it is made to forget, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings a better ayat than that or similar to that. Okay, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says alam ta'alam. Okay, so let's look at this word. So the word is lam ta'alam. Okay, now, so this first, let's look at this word ta'alam. Okay, so the word starts, let's look at the root letters, three letters, fa'ala, which means to do. If you put a ta in the beginning and pronounce as taf'alu with the Arab like taf'alu, so by putting a ta in the beginning, it brings the meaning of you do. Okay, present tense, and the second person is a singular person, one person. So if you are telling some person you do or you are doing, then all you have to do is put a ta in the beginning and pronounce it this way. So here the root letters are ain, lam, and mim. Okay, and the meaning is to know. Okay, and if you apply the same rule, it will become ta'alamu. Ta'alamu means you know. Okay, so the meaning is here ta'alamu, you know. Now, the first two words here, lam has a characteristic. The meaning of lam is not. Okay, la also means not, but lam has the meaning not, but it also does something. If the word after that is a present tense, is a mudare, okay, then this lam changes the last letters dhamma into a sukoon or a jazm. So lam is called the word that makes the next word mudare or present tense from the state of rafa, which is dhamma, to the state of jazm or sukoon, which is this one. So meaning becomes lam ta'alam, you know not. So it becomes you don't know. Okay, so the meaning will be you do not know. Okay, so it becomes lam makes the statement negative, but also it has the effect of changing the dhamma into a sukoon. Now, This alif in the beginning makes the sentence a question mark. Okay. So when we read together alam ta'alam, then because of the question mark, this statement will become don't you know. Okay. Instead of you don't know, the English word don't you know is a question statement. So if something is being asked by saying don't you know, so that's the word is alam ta'alam, don't you know. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to all the people, all the mankind, whoever is listening to the Quran, don't you know, and then the word after that is anna. Anna means that. Okay. Now anna has a characteristic also, that when the noun comes after that, the noun is Allahu. Noun is Allahu. So the word Allahu is the ism or the noun of this word Anna. What Anna does? Anna changes the last letter into a fataha, which means the rafa state goes into the nasab state and the word becomes Allah. And when you recite these together, that noon combines with the lam and this alif is not pronounced. And when it is not pronounced, then you put a little swad, a small swad on that, which is hamzatul wasl. So what becomes Annallaha, meaning is that Allah. Okay. Okay. Next word is Allah. Allah means upon. Okay. Then after that are two words. Kullun. Kullun means all or each or every or all. All these three meanings are equally applicable to this word kullun. Okay, kullun. And the next word is shay'un. Shay'un. Shay'un means thing. Okay. Now, these are two different nouns, kullun and shay'un. So when we combine these together, the meaning will be everything. Okay? In Arabic, these two will be combined and the two dhammas will change into one dhamma here. And these two dhammas will change into two kasras, like mudaf, mudaf ilayh. When you combine two nouns, then that's the rule of combination. So this word becomes kullu. These two dhammas change into one, so it becomes kullu. And these two dhammas change into two kasras, so this becomes shay'in. Shay'in. The meaning is everything. Kullu shay'in means everything. Okay? Now, before that is the word Allah. Okay? Allah means upon. Okay? Or on. Also, Allah is a harf-jar, and harf-jar looks at the next word here, and it changes this dhamma to a kasra. So the combination of these three things, originally each of these had a different sounding final sound, or a tajweed or pronunciation will become ala kulli shay'in, and those are the words in the Quran. Ala kulli shay'in upon everything. Okay? Everything. So that Allah upon everything. Okay? And the last word of the ayah starts with Qaf, Dal and Ra. This means to have the power and the authority. Qaf, Dal and Ra. Okay? And the doer is Qadirun. Okay? Qadirun is brings the intensity in the one who is executing the power. So Qadirun, like Alimun, and so Alimun, for example, has the intensity of the knowledge. Okay, so Qadirun has the intensity of the power. Okay, so Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is Qadirun, means all powerful, and He has upon everything He has full power and full control. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says that, don't you know that Allah has full power, full command? He's all powerful upon everything. Okay? All powerful upon everything. Okay? And when you stop at the ayat, by the rule of the tajweed, you do not pronounce these two dhammas or the sound of noon. The word is pronounced as qadir. Okay? So, don't you know that Allah has full power on everything? He's all powerful on everything, and He has the authority and the command, and He can do whatever He wants to do. And if He wants to change or replace the ayat with some better ayat, He can do, and He does that. Now, two things here we should remember, that in the Quran, some of the ayats of the Quran which came in the early part of the revelation, for example, one ayat was that the drinking was partially, it was permitted in the beginning, but later on the command came that drinking or alcohol is forbidden. So the initial ayat was abrogated and replaced by the new ayat which came on later. Likewise, in the beginning, there were somewhat different rules of fasting. Later on, when the more ayats came about the fasting, as we fast now, then the previous rule was replaced. Similarly, there were some ayats about the rules of inheritance, which were different in the early part of the Islam, but later on more ayats came and those rules were replaced. Even though the rules were replaced, the command was replaced, but the ayat stays in the Quran. Ayat was not removed. So even though the rule has been changed, the command has been changed, but the ayat itself, so in the Quran, the ayat about allowing the alcohol is still there, and the ayat about forbidding the alcohol is still there, but the application will be of the new ayat, not of the old ayat. So that is one interpretation of this. There is another interpretation about this ayat, which is that some of the Jews and the Christians, when they heard about the Quran, they started saying that in the previous books, in the Torah and Injil, there were some commands that were different than what are being said in the Quran now. So if this book is from Allah, and those books are from Allah, then why there is a difference in the commands? So Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is answering here by saying that if we have the authority, and we do have the authority on everything, then if we abrogate one command or one ayat, we bring a better ayat than that, or similar to that, or we may cause it forget, and we bring a better ayat than that. So that is the explanation of this ayat.